I've been getting a lot of questions from people about the impacts of the coronavirus on their investments, their personal finances in general. And I know that a lot of people are very anxious. There's fear. People are very nervous. I'm here to tell you that that is normal. That is a human response, and we are human beings. And sometimes these emotions and feelings can have a greater grip on the steering wheel of our decision making, as they say. And so I'm going to put out more regular videos on a daily basis if I can to tackle some of these questions on a more case-by-case basis. And the reason I say that is, there is no one-size-fits-all answer for a lot of the things that are going on right now with respect to managing your money and investments. A lot of that has to come down to our individual financial capacities. Personal finance, as they say, is very personal. So something that makes sense for some people, that advice may not be applicable or is just unattainable for other people. And so we're going to break it down a little bit more. So we'll tackle, what are the considerations for someone who's single income versus, in a family, kids or no kids? Do you have an emergency fund or not? Do you have a large portfolio or have you just started out? And so we'll tackle those on a more case-by-case basis because, again, the generalizations may not be applicable to everyone. But the most important thing to understand right now is that we have some time to figure out our individual financial action plans for the short term, but we have basically no time to figure out our health action plan. And a lot of that comes down to trying to flatten the curve. So you've probably heard that phrase, and if you haven't, I'm going to share with you a link to explain exactly what that is and why it is so critically important when it comes to what we do right now. Our focus needs to be on that aspect of limiting the transmission. We have some time to figure out the financial action plan. I am no health expert, but one of the best explanations that I've seen about how and why we want to flatten the curve is from the Washington Post. If you haven't seen that graphic and explanation, go see that. What I will say right now is that as more cities, states, provinces, and countries take measures to lock down or reduce transmission, we are going to feel some pain. There is no doubt about that. There is going to be some economic pain, some people more than others, and this again goes back to financial capacity. Now, at the time of this recording, there are a number of governments that are considering some extreme measures to bridge that economic pain that is going to be incurred as a result of the social distancing, self-isolation measures that are being recommended, in some cases enforced in different countries around the world. Some of those measures include sending cash directly to people to help them with the economic pain that is being caused. Some laws are being passed that say, listen, you're not allowed to lay people off from their jobs. People understand that what is happening right now is going to lead to job losses and a slowdown of the economy. And so governments are taking unprecedented steps to try and bridge that gap. We're going to get more clarity as time goes on, but governments are doing things that really does change the calculus. And I think will also alleviate some of the fear that people have. But right now, our top focus needs to be reducing the transmission of the virus, which means isolating, self-quarantining if you need to, whatever your public health agency or authority is recommending, we need to follow those steps. And if you're like me, sometimes you see people around you who may not be following the news as closely as others. Maybe they're not on different social media, which is, sort of amplifying those messages, and it hasn't gotten to them yet. It can be frustrating, but we need to do our part to make sure that other people understand the severity of the situation. The more that we act now, the more we can prevent it, the less the pain will be across many different dimensions. But I know that we will get through this together, especially if we look out for one another. I take some solace seeing so many people already stepping up to the plate. The things that people are doing is phenomenal. Obviously, all the healthcare practitioners are amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing to help keep us safe, to protect us, and to treat the people who are ill. I've seen a lot of people who have the means to do so, again, the financial capacity. They are encouraging people to buy gift certificates for, local businesses, because they're going to feel this cash flow crunch. They're feeling some economic pain right now. And if you want to support those businesses, and again, you have the means to do so, buying gift certificates for these businesses so that you can, use their goods and services down the road when we are able to more freely be out and about. That's fantastic. Thank you to the people who are doing that. I know a lot of people who are, ordering groceries, and they are tipping extraordinary amounts, sometimes 100% of whatever it is that they're ordering. And again, if you have the financial capacity to do that, consider doing that, because a lot of the people who are most affected by this are the ones who are going to feel the economic pain first as well. And so again, if you have the means to do that, I encourage you to do the same. I saw a friend of mine, Dave Chilton, who is the Wealthy Barber, the guy who wrote The Wealthy Barber, one of the most famous personal finance books in history, is going around and asking if anyone needs help with having groceries delivered or medication. He's wearing gloves, he's taking all the precautions, and it's a shining example of how people can really step up. So thank you to all those people as well. I've seen that some grocery stores are setting up separate hours where those who are more vulnerable can shop without the fear of the big crowds and the hustle and bustle, so they get access to, for example, toilet paper first, or the other staples that they need. That's fantastic as well, and thank you to all the grocery store operators who are doing that. That makes a huge difference. Thank you. Getting back to the financial side of things, there are a lot of moving parts right now, and information is changing very quickly. We have all these extraordinary measures being taken and considered by governments. And so what I'll say right now is that you want to avoid making the knee-jerk reactions, and again, have this financial action plan for the short term set up. And so we're going to go through some of those considerations. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section down below. I'm going to do my best to put out as many answers as I can. But again, right now, the most important thing we have to focus in on is what we can do to limit the transmission. So be vigilant, be safe, and stay tuned.